There's so many spiritual teachings out there, teaching you how to become awakened, how to become enlightened, how to accept present experience, how to allow present experience, how to be more present, or how to attain awakening, how to attain enlightenment. So what I want to point to in this video is something that comes before all of that. I want to point back to who you really are, before the story of who you are. And I want to point back to an acceptance, a deep acceptance in present experience that isn't the result of a doing. It's not the result of you doing something. It's actually already here. It's an acceptance that is inherent in present experience. It's the acceptance that you are. What you are is acceptance. What you are is not a separate person. What you are is not the story of your life, the story of your past and your future, your achievements, your attainments, your future plans. All of that appears, of course. So this isn't about pushing the story away or getting rid of the story, because that's the biggest story of all. But discovering who you are prior to that story, discovering what you are, essentially is just this wide open space, this wide open, vast space. And there's many words we can use to point to this. And it's important to note that none of the words can capture it. It's not about the words. Words will never capture this. Words can only point. So some people like the word consciousness, some people like the word awareness or presence or being or spirit or source or energy, or some people call it nothing. It doesn't really matter what words you use, because it's about discovering it. Because all the words in the end, they're just words, they're just concepts. So this isn't about believing in any of this. I don't want you to believe this. This is not a new religion. It can become that, as I've spoken about, but in the end it's about really discovering this. So discovering that what you are is just this wide open space, this vast capacity. I like that word, capacity. What you are is the vast capacity for life. The capacity for everything that appears. The capacity for thoughts, sensations, feelings. All of life appears and disappears in what you are. What you are holds everything as it appears and disappears. In the same way that, waves in the ocean. So waves in the ocean come and go. Thoughts, sensations, feelings, sounds, even pain, fear appears and disappears. But the ocean always remains intact, complete, whole, no matter what waves are appearing, no matter what the waves are. Even if the waves are very strong and violent, the ocean itself always remains whole and complete and at peace. At peace. So no wave that appears in the ocean can threaten, on the deepest level, can threaten the ocean. Because every wave is the ocean. The ocean is all of the waves. There's that inseparability between the ocean and the waves. Then, of course, in the end, you can't even talk about ocean and waves, but might be a helpful pointer. So, what you are simply holds all of these waves as they appear and disappear. Thoughts come and go, sensations come and go, feelings come and go, and what you are embraces all of that. So, on the deepest level, you could say what you are accepts everything that appears. Every thought, every sensation, every feeling. If it's appearing, and this goes right to the core of this message. If it's appearing in present experience, it's already been allowed in. It's already been allowed in by what you are, by the ocean. If it's appearing in present experience, what you are has already said yes to it. What you are has already said yes to what's appearing presently. What you are has already said yes to these thoughts, to these sensations, to these feelings. What you are And this is just a way of pointing to it. What you are has already given permission. What you are has already given permission for this moment to be as it is. So that's the acceptance. That's the deepest acceptance of life that I talk about. It goes beyond I accept and I don't accept. You see, so this is not an acceptance that you do. You know, it's about noticing that if it's appearing in present experience, it's already been allowed in, and what you are allows everything in. So even if what's appearing now is pain or fear or grief or it could be anything, frustration, discomfort, or hurt of any kind. If it's appearing in present experience, it's already been allowed in. What you are has already allowed it in. It allows everything in. It's I speak of it sometimes as unconditional. It's unconditional acceptance. It's an unconditional acceptance. So growing up, we pick up so many concepts and ideas and theories and beliefs, from parents, from teachers, even from spiritual teachers, and we pick up all these ideas about what's right and what's wrong, what's good, what's bad, what's good and what's evil, what's healthy, what's unhealthy, what's positive and what's negative. A lot of people use those words these days, positive and negative. So we learn that, we learn that fear is negative or sadness is negative, and so when those waves appear in our present experience, we try to escape them. So we've labelled them as negative, and we try to escape them and reach something called the positive, which we've learnt about, the opposite of the negative. So it's like we're always trying to run away from those parts of our present experience that we don't want, or that we don't like, or that we call negative. So it's like we're always trying to escape present experience, and that's simply because on the deeper level we don't recognise that what's appearing in this moment has already been allowed, has already been accepted. You see, so because we don't recognise this deep acceptance in the moment, that's when we become seekers and we try to escape this moment and reach acceptance. So when it's not recognised in this moment who you really are, when the deep peace in this moment, that deep inherent peace of the ocean that I was talking about, when that's not recognised in this moment, that's when we start seeking it. When it's not recognised in this moment, we start looking for it in the future, in time. So we start looking for peace, we try to escape what's appearing now and reach peace. We start trying to escape what's appearing now and reach acceptance. So it becomes a seeking game. It becomes about looking for peace, looking for acceptance, because we don't recognise it in our present experience. So everything is an invitation. Everything that appears in present experience is simply an invitation to discover that this deep acceptance, discover that if it's appearing, it's already been allowed in. What you are has already said yes to these thoughts, these sensations, these feelings. Even this pain or this fear, what you are has all in this moment, and it's always in this moment. That's all I'm ever talking about. If it's appearing in this moment, it's allowed in. It's allowed. It's already allowed. It's already accepted. So that's the acceptance that I talk about. It's the acceptance that has already happened. And so in a sense, you trying to accept is already too late. Your acceptance or rejection of this moment is already too late. The deep acceptance has already happened. This moment is already as it is. These thoughts, these sensations, these feelings, they're already as they are. And then thought comes in and tries to accept, or tries to reject, actually. It's the same thing, really. And often, the reason that we try to accept this moment, so the reason that we try to accept, for example, pain, or we try to accept fear, is because secretly we hope that if we accept it, it will go away. So it's like we're trying to do acceptance, and usually there's some sort of motive or expectation attached to that doing. So We say to ourselves, well, if I can accept this, it will go away, or it will change, or it will disappear. So I would say that isn't true acceptance. Acceptance, the attempt to do acceptance with a motive, is not true acceptance. So the whole thing really is just an invitation to recognize that the deep acceptance that's already here, and the deep peace that's already here. What you are is already at peace with what's happening. What you are doesn't need to change or manipulate or get rid of or escape what's happening. Just in the same way, the ocean doesn't need to get rid of its waves to be complete, to be at peace. See? So this is a peace that doesn't have an opposite. Often we think of peace as the opposite of war, or the opposite of agitation, or the opposite of noise. We speak of silence as the opposite of noise. But what I'm pointing to here is a peace, is a silence that doesn't have an opposite. It's not opposed. It's not opposed to anything. Because it embraces everything. It is everything. Everything is an expression of this silence. Everything is an expression of this peace, even if it doesn't seem like it. So pain, or fear, or sadness, or whatever it is, on first glance doesn't seem like it's an expression of this silence, this peace. It doesn't seem like it's the ocean. It doesn't seem like it's consciousness. But of course it always is, because that's all there is. That's all there is. So everything is just an invitation to this. Everything is an invitation to discover who you really are in this moment, and forget about yesterday, or last week, or last year, and forget about tomorrow, or next year, or whatever. Forget about whether or not you discovered who you really were yesterday, or all these stories, all these memories of the past that we carry. Oh well, last year I was awakened. Last year I had an enlightenment experience. That's wonderful, but that's memory. That's still memory. So it's about discovering this now. It's about discovering this now. Because the truth is, when this is not discovered, that's where suffering begins. That's where suffering begins. Suffering is in our attempt to escape this moment. And we attempt to escape this moment. Or resist this moment. Push away this moment. Simply because we don't see. We don't recognise this deep acceptance. So the recognition of this deep acceptance is the end of suffering in the moment. Is the end of suffering. In a sense, what you are doesn't suffer. What you are doesn't suffer, because it's already allowing in this moment. It's already allowing in this moment. So on that level, a lot of these spiritual teachings talk about, they say that there is no choice. So that we can see here that, this is really true. There's no choice in the sense that you don't have a choice over what's allowed in to this moment. You don't have a choice in that matter. And so much of our suffering comes from that. We want to be in control. We want to feel as though we're in control of this moment. We want to be in control of what appears in present experience. It's like we want to stand at the gate of present experience. We want to say, yes, this wave is allowed in, and this wave's not allowed in. So we want to say, oh yes, happiness, you can come in, but sadness, you're not allowed in. Or joy, you're allowed to come in. Peace, you're allowed to come in. But no, fear, you're not allowed in. And pain, you're not allowed in. And sadness, you're not allowed in. Discomfort, you're not allowed in. So it's like we try so desperately to be in control, to be wave managers, you could say. We try to be wave managers. But in the end, we don't get a choice, you see, because this moment, it's already been allowed in. These thoughts, these sensations, these feelings, they've already been allowed in. Life doesn't, in a sense, life doesn't ask your permission. sadness, fear, pain, whatever,